So welcome to Pelee Island. Welcome to the Pelee Island Tasting Room Thursday. We're excited about this because anyone who's been born and gone to halls and everything else in Sudbury, a lot of our halls usually carry a Pelee Island wine. They used to get frustrated because they would have one white and maybe one red, right? And I used to always tell them, and even then back then, I used to tell them they used to have the Pinot Grigio, and I told them they used to have the Vidal, and I like the Vidal better than Pinot Grigio. But anyways, I couldn't tell them what to order. So today, what we're excited about is a lot of these you're tasting for the first time. The limits, and he'll explain to you, a couple of them are going to be in the LCBO in a couple of weeks. A couple of them are, one of them is licensee only, and some of them are general listing ones that you may not have realized that were there and never got to taste. So you're getting kind of a mix of everything, which I think is great. But anyways, I'll just leave it up to Matt. You can actually see each other. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Hi everyone. Hi, my name is Matt Gale. I'm all the way down here in Kingsville, Ontario, at our production facility. So I work for Pelee Island Winery, and that's on my little slideshow here. You can see Pelee Island Winery there. It's a southern island in Lake Erie. It's actually Canada's southern inhabited points. You can only get to the island by a ferry ride that takes an hour and a half. And we at Pelee Island Winery, we have 750 acres of vineyards on the island. We've been growing on the island since 1978, and we had our first vintage there in 1982. Where I'm at is Kingsville. Actually, if I click to the next slide, where I'm at right now is Kingsville. This is the picture of a Kingsville facility. We grow all our grapes on Pelee Island. All our grapes production is done on Pelee Island. We ship it over to Kingsville, and over here in Kingsville is where our offices are. We do all our production. So yeah, it's kind of a unique situation trying to figure out how to do production, which is hard enough, and put a boat ride in the center of it. But we do this. So winemaking on Pelee Island began in 1866. The Pelee Island Wine Villa opened up on the island, and that was the first commercial production facility in Canada. Was on Pelee Island. Production on the island grew. There was about several wineries that opened up on the island, and it kind of thrived up until 1914 when Prohibition hit, and all the wineries in the area closed down and became tobacco production farms. If you can kind of see, actually back then, Pelee Island, we grew on Pelee Island, and steamshipped the wines to Brantford, Ontario, near the GTA. And at that time, we were the most famous product was St. Augustine, which was a church wine. But they also had several wines that were award winners. At the time, they had one of the first method traditionals made in Canada, and that's something that we're working on actually right now. Yeah, and so 1986, our current winemaker joined the winery, and up to now, 2022, we're still going strong. And as I mentioned, 1979 was when we did our first grape production on Pelee Island. 1982 was our first vintage. And here's some pictures on the side here from our original wineries, if you could see them. On Pelee Island. This top picture up here is the original winemaking team. J.S. Hamilton and Thaddeus Smith are both pictured in this photo, who are like two pioneers on the island. Pelee Island originally actually up to 1814 was 3 small islands, and in the center was all marshland. We built up they built up a dike system in the early 1800s and pumped out all the marshland and turned it into arable farmland, and that's when agriculture began on the island. We are currently a founding member of Sustainable Wine Growing Ontario. So all of our VQA wines and all the wines you're going to try tonight are certified sustainable, which means a third party provider goes and looks at all of our practices and make sure that we're moving towards a more sustainable future with cutting electricity, cutting water. This building that I'm in right now is 100% powered by solar panels. 50%, 7% of our entire energy is solar panel. We also cut fertilizers, and we're just constantly working on it. And this is a really great program. You would see this, any other wineries that are pursuing this program will have this logo, the sustainable wine growing, on the back of it. And this is our current portfolio. So we make about 156 different wines. And you're going to be, Stephanie chose really great wines tonight. You're going to be trying some of our.
I narrowed it down a bit. I couldn't make them all the wines.
Yeah. You had to narrow it down a little bit. You did a great job narrowing it down.
That wasn't easy.
And then I just, to kind of spare you guys from too long of a slideshow, I just said, here's some photos from, just to give you an island idea of like what the island is like. This is our 750 acres here in the top left, top view of that. Here's our winemaking team down here at the bottom, and some more aerial views of the island here. And on this picture, you kind of see a couple views of the ferry, which is the only way on and off of the island, the 1.5-hour ride. So yeah, thank you very much for listening to my little slideshow here, everyone. And so it looks like you, Stephanie, as I mentioned, really chose some great wines for you tonight. So I'd like to discuss a few of them. First one I'd like to discuss is the Bella Sparkling Rosé. That's a 50% Pinot Noir, 50% Auxerrois blend. And that one is BQA South Islands, meaning 100% of the grapes are certified from our wine region on Pelee Island. So all the grapes are certified from our island. The Bella is a Charmat method sparkling, which means it's gone through secondary fermentation, similar to a method traditional sparkling, except instead of the secondary fermentation happening in a bottle, it's happening in a 20,000 liter tank. So the wine's put in there, put through secondary fermentation into the tank, and then bottled from there. And we do our Bella up to about 3 bar pressure. Your average sparkling is about 5 or 6 bar pressure. And that leaves a little bit more of like a frizzante sparkling, not as much of a large bubble. And it also allows us to do a screw cap instead of the pop top on the winery. But it's more in the flavor profile we want. We want those kind of small bubbles on this one. And this is an amazing food wine, great acidity. Yeah, it's definitely one that's great to pair with food. Another wine you guys have today is our Seco sparkling wine. Now this one is a different method. We do this one also Charmat method sparkling, but it's done up to 6 bar pressure. So you get those more like celebration bubbles. You get the pop when you open up the bottle, and it's great for a celebration. This one is a cork top. This one is actually only available. This is not available in the LCBO. This one is only available through direct purchase on our website or on our thing. So this is the only wine I think you're trying tonight that you can only get through our website up there in Sudbury. Now, another great choice Stephanie made is we've made a Lambrusco style sparkling. So it's a red sparkling wine. It's very like fruit driven, very easy drinking, but does have a tiny bit of tannin, a good residual sugar on this one. So this is our Lola Nero. You'll find that on the list. Lola Nero is one of the newest additions to our Lola line, which has been extremely successful for us. They're pretty popular. And this one is kind of been a passion project for our winemaker. He's wanted to make a sparkling red and sell it to the LCBO for a long time. And up until recently, sparkling reds have not been the most successful things in the LCBO. generally don't do too well. Not a lot of market demand, except for like the few core SKUs that do pretty good. And that seems to be changing. I think there's a real like renaissance coming of sparkling wines. So I'm hoping you guys will be able to see this in the near future in your local LCBO. This one is lower alcohol for us. Usually our wine, like the label might say 10% or 10.5%, but this Lola Nero is 9.9% alcohol. So low alcohol, pretty high sugar at 33.2 grams per liter residual. And it's a blend of 80% Chambourcin and 20% Pinot Noir. But it's just a very light, frothy, once again, that frizzante style, like light bubbles that are very cleansing on the palate. This one's a really great, I would say summer sipper. Raspberry, red currant, and plum on the nose, and kind of a lasting fruit flavor, really long finish on that one. Another wine that we have here on the list for you guys tonight is the Lola Cabernet Franc Rosé. And this is like my current summer pick. This is one that I love. It's VQA South Islands like Bella. So that means, yeah, 100% of the grapes are certified, sourced from our island on Pelee Island. Cabernet Franc, down here in Southern Ontario, that's considered kind of a specialty grape for us. So it's a wine that Southern Ontario is known for, Cab Franc, and usually it's usually a red wine, but in this one it's made into a nice light and fresh rosé. Pretty dry, 5.3 grams per liter sugar, but it has almost like an electric pink color to it. Like really lots of like strawberry and cherry on the front, and then the super clean on the end. It's like a super balanced wine. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite wines. This wine we release twice a year in the LCBO in the vintage section. So it's kind of like they do at your local stores in Sudbury. They'll do a very limited release where they'll bring in a couple cases, and that's all they get for a year. So this is one that get your hands on when you can. And I believe you're trying the 2020 vintage tonight, if I'm not mistaken. And that was
actually, it's really strange. I had a 2020 that I got from the LCBO in my fridge.
Yeah.
But the one that sent us was 2019.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the 2019 there? Oh, that's also
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also a great vintage.
All right, so they're 2019 and 2020, so if you want to get fancy.
Yeah, and between the vintages, like our winemaking team, they always are striving for consistency. Obviously, this isn't like Bud Light. We can't. We're dealing with nature and the different things nature causes. So we're just dealing with 100% grapes crop. But our winemakers put a lot of effort into making a consistent product that every single year, so somebody can drink it consistently. It could be their favorite wine, and it's not one day one thing and the next day another. But obviously, there's the limitations. They're just when sunshine or rain. I believe actually 2019 was a pretty good vintage. 2018, the one before it was a really wet and stunted vintage, led to low yields but high quality grapes on that one. Does anyone have any questions? Am I going through these in a good way, Stephanie?
I think so. I think you just have the reg left to talk about, right? But if anyone has any questions for Matt, by all means.
Yeah, I'll just keep rambling on if anybody have any questions. Just, I'm hoping I'm giving you interesting information, but
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Norm has a question.
I'm so interested in listening to more, but as far as enticing also to visit the island, how many wineries are on the island?
it's just us on the island at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was the island thing that got me confused.
Yeah. Well, they take up most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So I could go through that. So there's I have little map guides for that Prince Edward Island, or sorry, Prince Edward County area. And then I have, so I can have maps here that I can actually show you where it's located. And then he sent along these really cool things. If you decide to take a road trip, this gets you a complimentary tasting and wine glasses for 2 people when you bring this card in. And then there's also, I'm doing all your rest of your promo. And then
thank you.
this is a 15% off coupon that you can use both at the winery and online. You get one of those too. So it gets to anyone that you want to buy directly and take it to your house. Okay, sorry for the interruption, sir. You may
No,
continue.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you for the question, sir. Yeah, we're the only winery here on the mainland. There's we're part of Lake Erie North Shore. There's 20 wineries currently in Lake Erie North Shore. It's kind of a cool place to come down here. I would say we're the least developed of the wine regions. It's still kind of very new. There's a lot of the wineries have opened up in the last couple of years. So if you kind of want to get in a time machine and visit Niagara 25 years ago, or that's what I always hear the vibe is. So you can come down here and visit us. But we are the only ones on the island. But on the island, we do have kind of a unique setup. You could go to the island pavilion, do a tour, and we sell all of our wines at LCBO prices. And you crack it open, you sit in our wine garden near the lake, and we sell uncooked food at our deli hut, and we have 40 barbecues out there. So you buy your lunch uncooked and you barbecue it yourself, and you sit down. We have the cheese and fresh made bread. It's a really unique experience, and I suggest getting a hotel on the island, staying one night. You don't need to come down for a week. It's a pretty rural place. You come for a day, you bike around the island, takes about 2 hours, do a tour, and drink a little too much wine, and you have yourself a great afternoon.
You have another question here, Matt?
Yes, please.
So when would be the best time to visit the island?
Yeah, you heard that. Okay, good.
Yeah, I heard that. Great. Yeah, no, great question. The island is completely shut down from October till May 2-4 weekend. So there's no, like, going over the island, there's absolutely nothing open until a couple weekends from now. The best time to go, in my opinion, is because it's so good for biking, and it's a very outdoor island. So your best weather months, your July and August, and September are the best, to me, the best month. You could, there's some nice beaches on the island. Go for a swim, go for a bike ride. There's a few hiking paths. You can go down to the Southern Point in Canada, which is something. And there's also, you would have noticed on the previous thing, there's a lighthouse there. There's a lighthouse that's been up since the early 1800s. And just off the coast of that lighthouse is like the most shipwrecks density in the entire world. It wasn't a very effective lighthouse because there's hundreds and hundreds of sunken ships right off the coast. So much so, we're actually, if you go to any of the beaches on the Pelee Island, they're covered in coal. You can pick up coal, and my understanding is that coal is from all the sunken ships back when they would be coal powered. Have littered the area so much that the beach still has coal on it.
And the follow-up question on that is that if we were to visit, I guess, as you said, we have to access it through a ferry.
Yeah.
Now, the ferry takes an hour and a half to get there, and how long does the ferry stay on the island for us to get out, or are there multiple trips during?
There's multiple trips. So there's 2 ferries that go back and forth. Sorry to interrupt your question there. They go back and forth. So it's like at 10 a.m. It's like 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 8 p.m. Going to the island, and then it's the opposite 2 hours for leaving. So it's like noon to 2, 4, 6 leaving the island. So there's several.
That is that if we're gonna go, I'd like to spend at least a few hours on the island, and not just get there, spend half an hour.
Oh yeah, the least amount of time you could spend on the island is you would dock at 11:30 in the morning, and the next boat leaves, I believe, at 4 p.m. So that's like the least amount of time you could spend on the island. Like I said, that's nice. You could go right to the island winery there and do a little tour, or go for a little bike ride and see the island. I would suggest, if I was recommending to anybody, always say there's a couple Airbnbs on the island. There's bed and breakfasts. There's a couple motels. A new one just actually opened up. I always suggest stay for one night and get there in the afternoon, enjoy it, and then leave after breakfast the next day. And it makes for a nice trip. I think 3 hours on the boat in one day is a lot. It's really actually a beautiful boat ride as well. So I'm not putting it down, but it's a lot of traveling and moving around for one day, I'd say.
Okay, do you want to give a little intro on the Reds?
Yeah. I have one more white, actually, the Lola limited edition white. This one I'm super excited about. This is we just released it. This wine, it's a mixture of Auxerrois, Pinot Gris, and Pinot Blanc. They did a little malolactic fermentation on this one, so you're gonna get like a little. It's a dry white. You're gonna get a little like creaminess on the palate with some toasted almonds. It's also very aromatic. The cold fermentation style they use really has a lot of tropical notes on the nose and on the palate, and a really clean, dry finish. This is, I've said this before, this is another one of those great food wines, and I think this is probably one of our best whites on our entire list. I can't recommend it enough. The other Lola limited edition, our first red, is a Lola limited edition red. It's 60% Baco Noir, 40% Merlot. All have spent a healthy amount of time, 12 months in French oak barrels before it was bottled. Really fruit driven, very complex Ontario red wine. And both of these are coming out on the LCBO in a couple of weeks. We got these reviewed by Wine Current, and the white got 91 points from Wine Current, and the red got 92 points. So we're quite excited for those releases coming out. Another one we have is our Pinot Noir Reserve. It's a 2018, and this is one of our high-level Pinot Noirs. It's only the retail price at the LCBO, if you went there, is only $18.95 a bottle. This is a really great value Pinot Noir for the quality. It's super developed. 2018, as I mentioned, was a real washout of a year where we had very low yields, but high quality fruit for that year. So you're going to get that you're going to really develop for Pinot Noir. There's a lot of body. There's a lot of there. Kind of a funny little side note about this is Eugenia Keegan, who owns Kendall Jackson Wines. We recently had an Ontario wine symposium, and we had her host a tasting, and we tried this wine at the tasting. And in the symposium, she's like, "How much is this wine?" And they're like $18.95, and she's like, "You're very lucky if you could get this wine for that price. Anything less than that's an amazing price."
That was a good review.
Yeah, no, I was jumping out of my boots when I got here. And then last, if I'm not mistaken, but not least, is a newer wine for us. It's also in the Reserve series. This is our Bourbon Barrel Baco Noir. So this is a higher level Baco Noir, and we partnered with our local whiskey. There's called Wolfhead here, and we got some of their spent bourbon barrel, well, their version of bourbon barrels, and put our Baco Noir in there for 6 months in oak aging to those. And that added some body and some dark roasted chocolate flavors to those. This is another one. Baco Noir itself Baco Noir is a hybrid grape that's grown primarily here in Ontario. It really thrives in our environment. It's still a real pain in the butt to make into a wine. It's very temperamental, has a lot of acidity to it, but has a really great amount of body. So if you could really make yourself a really good Baco Noir, it takes a lot of effort. So we get a huge, every year, Ontario winemakers get a huge amount of Baco Noir from their vintage. and but making a good wine of that. I guess it has a propensity to clot, so and that can ruin whole batches. That these like lumps will show up into it, so it takes a real delicate touch into making a back to a decent wine. And I think that's all for the wines. Does anyone have any more questions?
Oh, Norm does.
So when on the island and visiting the winery, to get a chance to taste more of the options that are available, is that just a walk-in and then you're served, or does it have to be scheduled ahead of time? How does that work?
Yeah, so for our winery, during COVID, we had switched to a booking method, and I believe we're gonna leave that open so you can book. And you can book by going onto our website, which your 15% off code that you guys all have will have linked to our website. You click visit us and you will be able to book a appointment, but I don't think bookings are necessary. You could just show up. We do complimentary tastings every single day and flights. And then our deli huts open every single day. Prior to COVID, we did tours 3 times a day at 12, 2, and 4, but they're trying to get those started again today. But obviously, as on everywhere, staffing is a little tight, so they haven't been able to confirm if they're going to 100% be doing tours again on the island. Especially hard on an island, an hour and a half away from everybody, as you can imagine. There's a few other businesses on the island as well. There's a couple of bars and a brand new just opened up restaurant. But other than that, it's a very, and there's a little breakfast place and a ice cream shop and a taco hut. But other than that, it's a very rural island. It's larger than it looks. It's a 10,000 acre island. It's 14 kilometers long by 4 kilometers wide. So it's quite a distance between everything you want. So yeah, going there and sorry about that. Yeah, so yeah, just going there, it's good to plan ahead. The winery, we're a 1 kilometer walk away from the boat. You can, if you're gonna go for an afternoon trip like the 10 to 4 I was talking about, you can get off the boat, walk over to the island, try a good amount of our wines, sit down on the outdoor deck and grill yourself a steak and have a glass of wine and get back on the boat in an afternoon with no trouble and without needing an appointment.
Well, I think that you just enticed a lot of travelers. Besides just selling wine.
Well, I hope everyone liked the wine too. Stephanie, I was not joking. Stephanie I did not even give her any suggestions. I don't think, as she chose most of my favorite wines on her list. So it's just obviously very good taste down there in Sudbury. Oh, up there in Sudbury, I guess.
Yeah, it's up here.
It's okay, wherever.
Yeah, it's okay. So when I always finish one of these presentations on Tasting Room Thursday, I just wanted to, everyone has a glass in front of them. They have a little flash just so they can say, so cheers and thank you to Matt at Pelee Island Winery and cheers to Ontario Wines. So, cheers.
Yes, thank you. I can't believe I'm the one who has the glass. Thank you so much for.